96-year-old fired for helping a biker at exactly 7:15 a.m. Frank Miller. A 96-year-old mechanic unlocked the back door of a small auto repair shop in Ohio, just like he had done for the past 42 years. His hands shook a little now, arthritis stiff in his fingers, but his eyes were sharp. Frank didn't work for money anymore. His pension was enough. He worked because engines still made sense to him, and because staying home reminded him too much of the people he'd outlived. That morning, a loud motorcycle growled into the parking lot. The bike was massive, black, scarred with miles. The rider wore a worn leather jacket with a Hell's Angels patch stitched proudly on the back. The younger mechanics froze. "Ah, not my problem," one muttered. The rider removed his helmet. Mid-40s, tired eyes, a scar across his cheek. He didn't look angry, just stuck. My clutch is gone," the biker said calmly. "I've got a funeral to make. Don't need special treatment. Just honesty." The shop manager hesitated. "We're booked." Frank wiped his hands on an old rag and stepped forward. "I'll take a look," he said softly. The manager frowned. "Frank, we don't work on those bikes." Frank didn't argue. He simply walked over, knelt down slowly, and examined the engine like it was an old friend. He listened. He smelled the oil. He smiled faintly. "A clutch cable snapped," Frank said. "Simple fix." "I've got an old one in my toolbox that'll hold." The biker stared. "You sure? I was fixing bikes before you were born, son." 2 hours later, the engine roared back to life. The biker reached into his jacket. "I don't carry much cash." Frank raised a hand. "I go. Be where you need to be." The biker swallowed, nodded, and rode off. That's when the manager exploded. "You can't do that. Do you know what image that brings? Helping a gang member?" Frank stood still. "You're fired," the manager said, effective immediately. Frank didn't beg. He didn't shout. Frank didn't beg, he didn't shout. He quietly took off his oil-stained cap, placed it on the workbench, and walked out for the last time. That afternoon, the shop received an email marked "Urgent, Corporate Office." By evening, the CEO himself arrived. His name was Daniel Wright. Polished suit, silver watch, controlled voice. Oh. He asked one question: "Where is Frank Miller?" The manager proudly explained how he'd handled the situation. Daniel's face went pale. "That man," Daniel said slowly, "saved my life." Silence filled the room. Daniel explained that 30 years earlier he'd been a runaway teenager riding with the wrong crowd. One night, stranded on the side of the road with a busted engine, an elderly mechanic had stopped, fixed his bike, fed him, and told him something he never forgot: "You're not broken. You're just not finished yet." Hop mechanic was Frank. Daniel never saw him again, but he built his entire company on the idea of second chances. "And today," Daniel said, a voice shaking, "you fired the very reason this company exists." The next morning, Frank was invited back, not as a mechanic, but as honorary master technician, a full apology, back pay, a scholarship fund in his name. And a surprise visitor, the biker returned. He removed his Hell's Angels jacket and placed it gently on the bench. "My mother," he said quietly, "was the one in that funeral. You didn't just fix my bike. You let me say goodbye." Frank's eyes filled with tears. At 96, he learned something new. Kindness never expires, and you never know whose life you're repairing.